So today we will discuss static techniques. As we discussed previously, testing of documents, any kind of documents during our project is known as static testing. Yes?
Yes.
So what could be they? So there could be reviews, static analysis. So let's discuss reviews and static analysis. So what could be reviews? There are 4 types of reviews, but I will give you overview only. Reviews can be done manually. So all the reviews you do manually. Yes, reviews are done manually. And reviews are done by people. You cannot use tools. Done by people. Static analysis, automated. When you are reviewing the code, reviewing code with human eye becomes extremely difficult. In this case, what we do? We need to automate them. And this could be done by tools. So, static analysis done by tools. If you do reviews manually or you do static analysis, they both are looking for defects in work product documents. Yes, these both look for defects in work product documents. Any document, specification document, use cases, user stories, etc., etc. What are they? One, requirement. We call it specification or requirement. Business specification. Design specifications. How the software would be built. We have the design. So we will look at the design specifications. User stories. Epics. If we have the stories, but if the high level scenarios are described in any kind of document, it is known as stories. Epics. Source code. So you have the code. From code you design the test cases. You know that's right. Source code. Test plans. We prepare the test plans, how we will carry on testing. Test specifications, or our testing activities are described in test specifications document. Test cases and test scripts. User guides or user manuals. Web pages. These are the documents, and these documents we will review. We will test them, and when we test them, it is known as static testing. Yes. Any questions so far?
Means all the document we review or test is called static.
Yes.
Okay.
So in one sentence, it says testing of documents is known as static testing. Yes.
Okay, testing of documents.
So if you go detail, static testing, what are the objectives for that? Static testing finds causes of failures. Static testing does not find failures, it finds causes. What cause it? It finds the causes. What causes these failures? Yes. And this finds them early. Finds them early. Why they find them early? Because we start building anything. Because before we do anything, we review these documents. Yes.
Yeah.
Whatever we are going to build is correct, valid, and that's why we find them early. Defects. cheap to fix? Why defects cheap to fix? Because in this case we have not built a source code. It has not been deployed to any kind of test environment or production environment and then found and we are fixing. We are just correcting everything in the document itself. So we have the strategy of like first time right. Whatever we will build will be correct. Yes. So if we build, as for example, the requirement is incorrect, the developer has built source code written, yes, they implemented in a test environment, any kind of test environment, and they deployed it. Then what happens when it takes time from reviewing requirements? You design the test cases, developer did reviews, yes, on the code, and then so it took time, so it will cost you more. However, in this case you have not done anything, you just have the requirement and you reviewed them, yes. So that's cheap to fix. On the other hand, what is dynamic testing? Yes, dynamic testing is testing the software or application itself by executing the test cases. Yes. So on the other hand, dynamic test cases finds the failures. Yes. Dynamic testing finds the failures. It does not find the causes. Dynamic testing finds the failures, defects. Yes. Failures. Finds them late. It finds them late. Why it finds them late?
After reviewing.
Not after reviewing. Review has been done. The developer wrote the code. The code has been implemented into one of the test environments. It might be in the production environments. And then we found them. Yes, we found actually in the software. That's why we find them late. Defect expensive to fix. Any defect we find during dynamic testing, these defects are expensive to fix. Why expensive to fix? Because we reviewed the requirements, we didn't find anything. Then they have been implemented in the design, we didn't find anything. Then developer wrote the code, we didn't find anything. The code implemented, deployed into one of the test environments, and then we found. So it took time. So when it took time, people has worked. Yes, people have worked. When people work, they have to be paid. So it's expensive to fix. It costs them more. Yes, any questions so far?
Because everything is done, then defects will be find out. That's why it is expensive.
Yes.
And in static, when we review the document before, we find the causes. That's why it's cheap.
Yes. So static analysis, if you want understand, if you literally go word by word, instead of going word to word, if you want to understand, you say, in static analysis, we find errors in the requirements.
Errors in requirements.
Yes. Errors in the requirements. Now, through static, you find errors in the requirements. Yes. So what happens in this case? You are not building anything incorrectly. Yes.
Yes.
Anything incorrectly. So it will be cheap to fix. When you find it, it will be cheap. Yes.
Yeah.
This way. And if you go dynamic testing, what dynamic testing does? Dynamic testing is different. Dynamic testing is what is the definition of dynamic testing? Dynamic testing is execution of the code on the software. So this is done on the built software or application. Yes, you are doing this on the build software or application
Okay.
by executing the test cases. So before that, what process is done? Before the code has been deployed to any of the test environment. Yes, deploy what you do. Yes, first you will have specification or requirement. Yes,
Yeah.
then from specification you have the design, how you have done software design, means a design specification, not test design. So many other processes. Then this architect has got involved. You missed it at requirement phase, you missed it at the design phase. Then the developer wrote code. Yes, the code is reviewed as well.
Yeah.
That was missed and missed. Then the code deployed to any test environment. Code yes. So somebody has worked in requirement specification analysis, somebody has worked on design and design analysis, design review, somebody has worked on the code, somebody has worked on the code review. Nobody rectified defect or error at that phase. So the code has been deployed and you found at this phase. Yes, at this stage or level you can say. Then what has the people have worked?
Yes.
So people work, so time and budget they both spent. So that's why it will be expensive. Yes. When you find this, what happens? They have to do literally everything again. At what stage the error is the
Based on this, what is the main purpose of dynamic testing?
to find failures. If we have
Just
missed, yes, if we have missed, this is the part of thorough testing. Yes, if we have missed anything in the requirement phase, then you don't miss anything if you do both static testing and dynamic testing. In static testing you found, but there are so many complexities. Some of the things you can't find in static testing. Is if you have missed anything, then you will find it in the dynamic testing. So if you find in dynamic testing, so what happens? It is expensive. Yes, but if you find it, what happens? Nothing would go into the production, nothing would go to the end user, and if nothing go to the end user, the software you are delivering would be a quality software. Yes, understood?
yes.
This is chapter 1 topic we have discussed. We do both static testing and dynamic testing on any software. Yes, any as a part of testing. So we review requirements, we do everything on the work product documents, and we try to identify as many defects as possible. If we are
So, based
yes,
on this, we can say that the dynamic testing is ensure the tester that it is all testing work properly or installation. Is it?
everything working properly. Yes, you can say.
Okay.
The purpose of both static and dynamic is the same, to find the defects. So do you remember validation and verification we have covered?
Yeah.
If you go to the same sentence again, those two. Verification is what we are building is right.
Okay.
That is static. Dynamic testing, we have built. We are validating what we have built is right. So we are quality checking both the in simple form, if you understand. That's why this is not the correct one. You are quality checking the work product documents and you are quality checking the software itself. Yes,
Yeah.
so nothing is missed. If nothing is missed, in the end we build and delivered a quality software, a quality product.
Okay.
Yes. Any other question? The next one is the benefits of static testing. What are the benefits of static testing? Yes. What are the benefits? Early defect detection and correction. If we do static testing, we find defects early. Yes. And correction, because we find them in the requirement, we find them early and correct them as well. Yes.
Yes.
Development productivity improvements. Yes. How development productivity improvement? The requirements are correct because we reviewed them, they are correct. So what they are doing will be correct at the first time. Yes. So the development, they don't need to repeat their activity again and again. So it improves their development activity. Reduced development time scale. How reduced development time scale? So they are writing the code from the requirement and the requirements are correct. There is no ambiguity in the requirement. So whatever they will do, that will be correct the first time. Yes. And when they will do the first time, it will take less time because they have not done anything. They don't need to repeat over and over again 2-3 things. That's why I say reduced development time scale. They didn't try the code, like they wrote the code and they have to correct the code. Then they have to repeat it. So it takes more time. Here, it will take less time. Reduce testing time and cost. So in static testing, you find them early in the requirement phase. So the requirements are correct. Yes. So from the requirements, you will design the test cases and execute them on a software. Yes.
Yeah.
You have not missed it, so you don't need to repeat. Means you don't need to do so much retesting and regression testing when the requirements are correct. Yes. So it saves time in testing as well. And it saves money because you have spent less time. If the requirements are incorrect, you passed, you didn't realize, then it is built, delivered. Yes.
Yeah.
Then you realize, oh my god, then you have to go again back to the requirements. You need to analyze the requirements again, so it will take more time. Yes. However, in static testing, you are doing the first time right, so it will save time and money.
Money.
Lifetime cost reduction. Yes. You did this first time right. You analyzed the requirements and you found, so less time is spent on developing, less time is spent on testing. Yes.
Yeah.
So overall, the cost has been saved for the development side and from the testing side. And as a result, fewer defects. Defects will always be there in a software. But if we do static testing, then we will have less defects because we rectified at the initial phase or the requirement phase itself. Yes. Agree?
Yes.
Improved communication. You are passing information and everything, you are passing everything up to date, correct. Yes. When you pass information which is correct and which does not have any ambiguity, then it is improved communication. If you pass something as dual meaning, if you miss something, then it will create so much time and it create problems. But it is improved. You are passing information which is correct. Identify defects not easily found by dynamic testing. Yes. So static testing finds unique defects. Yes. Unique defects which cannot be found by dynamic testing. Dynamic testing finds 2 plus 2 equal to 4 and it is coming 5. But how this 2 plus 2 equal to 4 working? Yes. Dynamic testing, it will say only 2 plus 2, 4, but it is coming 5. You do whatever you want to do. This is my result. My test case is 4. Expected result is 4. And it is coming as 5. It is a defect. Yes. But static testing, it will say where is the defect? Is this the requirement? It is the design or it is the code? Yes. So these are the defects which cannot be found by dynamic testing. Static testing can find them. What are the typical defects we find in dynamic testing? No, static testing, okay? Typical defects found by static testing. Requirements defects. Yes, we find defects in the requirements. What are the inconsistencies? Yes, inconsistencies. If the requirements are inconsistent, at one place you stated something, the same statement you stated somewhere else, but it is different, then it becomes inconsistent requirements. Yes, inconsistency you can say.
Sorry, can you repeat it?
You have same statement at two different places, but you have used that statement differently. I give you one very good example outside. ન બોલ્યામાં 9 ગુણ અને બોલે તેના બોર વેચાય.
Okay.
This statement is about speaking. Yes, it is totally two different things, but you can say it is about speaking, but one say you keep quiet and one says you have to speak loudly. Yes, so in the same kind of thing, if we have used same statement in the requirement, something stated, but at two different places you have stated differently and you are asking two different things. As you have asked, I will give you one very good example. LWP and SOP. Okay, these are two different words you can remember. LWP stands for local working procedures. Yes, local working procedure. And it says SOP means standard operating procedure. Okay. If you work into an organization, okay, I give you very good example. The schools are run by government and some schools are run by some private organizations. Yes. Give the example, take the example of the government school runs by the government. Are you there?
Yes.
Yeah. So what happens in this case? The government has rules and regulations how they can run the school, what time the gates open and what are the processes. Yes. But what if in the same city there are two schools, they are running at different time and they have different syllabus, they are teaching in a different way? Then he say it is called as local working procedure. Yes, it is right for them, but the other school is doing totally differently. Then in cause what you can say inconsistent there. Yes, inconsistency is there. Why? Because the running time and operating time is different. One way, this is the simplest example. So instead of that, they are doing exactly the same thing. They are just working, they are running the school, The school time is different. For school A, it is correct everything as per that schedule. For school B, everything is correct as per the schedule. Yes, as per that schedule. But when it comes to the high level, why they are running differently? When they check the high level stuff, they will find school A is doing something incorrectly, school B is doing incorrectly. And that's why they say, let's do one process, they both come in line. So they have the consistency. Yeah. I give you another example. When I was working in N-Power, I was doing one process called, I forgot. Yeah, it's called GVC, gross volume correction. Okay. So what happens in this? When any reading is incorrect, we have to correct it. That's a simple thing. When we had, okay, when any reading was incorrect and we build on that incorrect reading and we have to correct it. And that process is known as GVC, gross volume correction. But team A is my team and there is another team, team B. We both were doing this activity, okay? These two teams means. But these two teams were doing these activities differently. Totally opposite. So what happens? Sometimes they find our work incorrect and issue that this team messing up our accounts, and we tell them this team does not know anything and these team members mess up our accounts. The blame game is there always. Okay, what's going on? Then there is the third team came into existence, and they realized that both team doing the same thing but they are doing differently, and they also started working. So for some of them they go to the team A, and for some of them they come to team B. Sometimes they come to my team and they sit with me and I say, this is what I did, why did you do? I explain. And they said this is incorrect. And I do, okay, as for my process, this is done correctly. Whatever chilla, you can do it. I will not correct it because as per my process, this is correct. Yes. Then they realize this is something else and high level. So they have established one team. And instead of this, we used to use LWP, we call it, okay, local working procedures. So another team came into existence as a part of work improvement, and they started introducing SOP, standard working procedures. All over the organization, we have some processes. That process would be the same if one team does or 20 team doing. Yes. So you see this, whenever LWP, we have inconsistency. So this is what I'm talking about, inconsistencies. Any question? Ambiguities. Any statement you have which has a dual meanings. This is not, but if you say do something, pass this ball to your partner once in a circle. Yes, you are sitting in a circle. So what does it means? Yes. You are sitting in a circle, you are just passing and it is coming to you, or stopping, or you are passing opposite way. Yes. If you are sitting in straight line and you say just pass the ball to the end, it will say, okay, from first to the end, it is done. But if you are sitting in a circle, then you say pass the ball once. You will just pass once, yes. Then you can pass to the other guy as well in a different way. Yeah? So it has got two meanings. Ambiguity is like go to London ASAP. What does ASAP mean? Contradictions. contradictions. That statement I says about the wording, now bolema, it's a contradictory statement, yes? So the same thing you have stated at two different places, and two different places you have stated opposite, then they are contradictions, yes? Omissions. You might have omitted some of the requirements. Then you find this requirement is missing. You find something you have omitted. Inaccuracy. The requirements you have stated, but they are inaccurate. It has missing something, or the statement you have stated is incorrect statement. Yes. Redundancy. You might have missed something. You made something redundant. Redundancies. This kind of defects we find in static testing. Next, design defects. What are the design defects we find? Inefficient algorithms. If we are communicating, talking to one system to another system, one database to another database, yes, everything should be stated clearly. If it is not clear, then you say inefficient, or not properly described, then you say inefficient algorithms or database structure. Structures. Next, coding defects. When you have code, yes, in the code itself you will find some defects. So you find coding defects. What are they? Variables with undefined value. Variables with undefined values. So you have a variable. In Java you have put int I. You have stated. But at somewhere you have not stated what is the value of I. You have to define I is equal to 5. I equals 0. I equals to 100. Yes. So this kind of defects you find. Variables that are declared but never used. Variables declared but never used. What you do? The variables declared but never used. You say I int is there. You have the value as well. I equals 0. But at some other places you need to use it. But you are not using it. So variables declare but never use. Unreachable code and duplicate code. Unreachable date code or duplicate code. So you design a code somewhere. That code will never be executed. Yes, it does not reach to that state. In the stage the code will be executed. That code is known as unreachable code. Yes. For example, I have one example, but if I just Google it, unreachable code Java. Let me go to the simple one. So you have a class date code, yes, and this is a method. You have boolean b, yes, void date code method. It is no, it is not an empty method. It has a statement system out.println, means it will print this, okay, reachable code. If true, return. This is outside, this code will never be executed. Yes, this is outside, this code never be executed. If it is true or false, even if you pull false, this code will never reach, and that's why this code is known as unreachable code or date code. So if you have designed the code, it will never reach to that point, and that particular code will never be executed. That code is known as date code. Yes, here GFG, there is a code there. Return, my code will return, it says. Yes. So here you state system.out, my code will return. So it is a static void, main method void. Yes. So first thing is return, and you can say my code will return one error, system unreachable code. Same statement you are using. Yes. Unreachable code message as a developer gets. Yes. So next example, here you have public static void main method. We have in that is a for loop. Is that in for loop that I equal int I equals to 0, I less than 8, I plus plus. Yes. System.out println, what it will do? It will print the value of I. And what if I equals 5? Then it will stop. Then what you are saying? Continue. Coding after continue. This code will never. Here the code is going to stop. Yes. And when the code stops, it will never go further. And what is the point? We are saying continue. Yes. Understood? So these are the examples of unreachable or date code. We will come when we do Java. If we are writing date code, we will have thorough analysis. Yes. Next, deviation from standards. Deviations means if we are diverting from the standards, it will be found by. So lack of adherence to coding standards. Yes. So we have the standards how to design the code, how to write the code. If the developers has diverted, had deviations, then it could be found. How? They design the code standard. This is the company standard they design. This is how we will rate the code. If somebody has come new and the new person has wrote in a different way, then we can find them straight away during reviews. Yes. Incorrect interface specifications. Correct interface specifications. What are they? Different units of measures. So as for example, if you are integrating one system with another system, you have the specifications how you are going to, what component is calling what component. Yes, component is A is calling component B or C, or what systems are, how the systems are integrated, what system is calling in what way. If this incorrect specification is there, interface specification is there, there will be some integration issue, and this could be found by static analysis, static testing. Yeah. System vulnerabilities. How vulnerable systems is. Yes. Okay, so you can say security vulnerabilities. How vulnerable system is, how the hackers or outside people can hack the system easily. Yes, are the data or code, some information should be kept secret? Are they secret or not? Are they revealed to the third party? This kind of things are found by static testing. Static analysis on it. Gaps or inaccuracies. Gaps or inaccuracies in test design, traceability or coverage. Gaps or inaccuracies in test basis, traceability or coverage. So when we do traceability, if we have any gaps in our traceability activities, these can be found by static testing. Now I have a question for you first, and then you can ask me if you have any question. What is traceability?
We can trace the code or anything else.
No.
Traceability. We have ability to trace defects.
No.
Trace the code.
No. No.
I don't know.
I can explain you, so you need to remember. Just recapture what is traceability multiple times.
Oh, really?
Yes.